I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. Who wouldn't want a personal consultant for your garden? Well, that's exactly what a garden coach is. Someone that will come to your house and provide customized information and even walk through your property for hands-on lessons. And one of the best parts of a garden coach, they can actually save you money, because rather than hiring somebody to do the work for you, they can equip you with the tools and information to do it yourself. Now, garden coaches, they come from a diverse background, but they all have one goal in common, and that's to see you grow in your gardening success. One such garden coach is award-winning landscape designer and consultant Robin Haglund of Seattle, Washington. Robin's coaching and design firm, Garden Mentors, specializes in teaching homeowners how to maintain a garden that is beneficial to them and the environment at the same time. Robin's a lifelong gardener with a degree in horticulture, and she even works on some of our episodes as a writer and researcher. Robin excels at breaking down complex information and teaching gardeners of all skill levels how to create the outdoor spaces of their dreams.
A garden coach is a professional horticulturalist who comes to your home, answers your questions about the garden, helps you develop as a gardener, maybe goes out, takes a look at what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and helps you find ways to become a better gardener right in your own garden. Another thing garden coaches can help you with is really identifying what's going on with the plants that you already have. Are they fantastic plants? Are they perennials that you want to keep? Maybe perennials that you can divide and share with other people? Or are they really awful weeds? Maybe it's a noxious weed you need to get rid of, and you need to take care of yourself while you get rid of them. Garden coaches can come in, they can help you take a look at your plans. What's your big picture plan for your garden? And how are you going to get from where you are today to a finished garden of your dreams? They'll help you bite off the work in realistic chunks. And then if there's work that maybe isn't really realistic for you, moving big pieces of stone, maybe your back can't handle it, they can help you understand who to hire for that work. Or if you need a tree pruned and you can't get up in that canopy, where do you find the right arborist for that work? Garden coaches can help you with all these sorts of things and more. A garden coach is not going to come in and do it all for you. The point of hiring a garden coach is to help you get your DIY projects underway, learn how to do the work yourself, and learn how to do it right in the first place. I became a garden coach because I want everyone who has an interest in gardening to have opportunities like I had growing up. I had some great chances to learn from some fantastic gardeners, family members, friends. I also had a chance to go back to school and learn a lot about gardening. Not everybody else has that chance. So what I can do as a garden coach is come into people's personal spaces and help them learn how to take care of their own little personal piece of the planet. And I want to help them do that in the greenest way possible, with proper pruning methods, great soil information. I want them to really be caretakers of the earth in their personal garden spaces.
A classic case for a garden coach is someone who's off to a good start with their garden, has a moderate amount of experience, yet still has a lot of upside potential. They're at a point where they've gone as far as they know to go, and now they just need a new set of eyes and a fresh perspective to progress. Our first coaching student today is just that person. Emily Robinson is a young, single homeowner who loves to garden. Her favorite plants to grow are edibles, but with limited sun and some challenging drainage issues, the weeds and ivy, along with plenty of mosquitoes, are what dominates this garden. Along with her family, Emily's ready and willing to do the work necessary to turn things around. So help from a garden coach is all that's needed to take this yard and garden to the next level.
All right, Emily, we're out here in your beautiful front yard, perennials, vegetable garden, pretty good sunlight. Tell me about what you got going on.
Well, my real passion is the organic vegetable garden. I love to grow as many plants as I can eat and give away to friends and cook with them and all that. The perennial bed is more my mother's influence. She doesn't like the fact that the neighborhood can see my vegetable garden, so we have to disguise it and cover it up. So that's why the perennial bed is there. But if it were up to me solely, I would have the vegetables all the way to the curb to take advantage of as much sun as possible.
I think we have an opinion about that.
I think you can mix them up and have a gorgeous garden, and we can certainly talk about making that happen for you, because your garden, it's about you.
Yeah, these days the trend is edible ornamentals, and so we can certainly make this look beautiful to please everybody and please you most importantly with all the edibles in here too.
Absolutely. One of the first things, though, I think we need to talk about is the weeds.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of weeds going on in here.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it looks like you don't have a lot of mulch either. Tell me about how you've developed the soil here.
Well, I thought you weren't supposed to put any mulch because it would leach nitrogen from the soil.
Yeah, that issue with putting fresh wood chips on top of your soil and it depletes the nitrogen and deprives your plants of that, that is a myth. We've done university studies or we've documented that. So if I were you, one of the best ways to cut down on your weed issue is to add 2 to 3 layers of mulch generously throughout your entire garden, and you'll certainly see a lot less weeds here.
I need
Absolutely. Yeah. That's going to encourage the soil microbia to come up and to eat their way through, process it, make it available to your plants. It's going to help improvement. Have you been tilling in here?
Yeah, actually I did when I first put it in. My brother did that for me.
Okay. Probably want to cut down on that. Let the soil microbia come up and eat that mulch. They'll do the work for you. It'll keep those weed seeds buried where they can't get the sunlight. It'll help keep those weeds down a lot too.
Yeah, every soil has millions of weed seeds in them, but the reason that they're not germinating is because they don't have the conditions to germinate until you bring those seeds to the surface and expose them to light. So don't till, and you'll also cut down on a lot of your weeds.
Right. You got some mint in here, some beautiful black and blue salvia, lots of pollinators, fantastic opportunity for growing edibles.
So as we move across the garden and we see some of your tomato plants here, everybody wants to have those thriving tomatoes, but yours are certainly struggling a little bit. What are the challenges that you see here?
Well, obviously I have blight issues. I've already pulled out 5 of them, and here we are in the middle of the summer. I shouldn't have to be pulling them out. And obviously I'm not getting enough sun for them because they should be bigger. Just the common issues.
Yeah, you're right on all of those. I'll first of all speak to the fact that part of the issue is the competition with all the weeds, but we've already addressed some of the things you could do to eliminate some of that. The other thing that I see here is that the soil, although you've been amending it, which is great, it still looks a little bit heavy here because it looks very damp. And I would suggest that you continue to amend it by adding compost on top. Again, we're not talking about turning your soil over because that's just going to make your weed problem worse. Continue to add compost on top, and that'll do its thing over time.
Yeah.
What else do you see?
I think getting some more light in here would help an awful lot, and I think we have some opportunities to work on some of these trees, bring in a little more light, help your vegetable garden along that way.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but I also like the fact that you said you've already pulled out some of these plants and gotten them off your property, because anytime you have a disease issue, and this is a rule of thumb across the board that you can use forever, you want to at least cut it back to the point that you don't see any more disease on your plants. But even better yet,
get rid of them.
Right.
Take them out. Don't put them in your home compost. Get rid of them altogether because you don't want to keep propagating the problem.
Exactly. Well, Emily, it looks like you have the same challenges everyone else has, and that's either too much sun or too much shade in your yard, and yours appears to be the latter. But first of all, I want to commend you for that crepe myrtle and the beauty of it, and the reason it looks so good is that you didn't cut it down to get more light to the ground, so good for you. But there are things that we can do to improve that light situation.
Right. So if you get in there, if you're comfortable pruning it yourself, get up in there, prune out the dead material, crossing and rubbing branches, any of the fallen material that's gotten into it. That's going to help lighten it up. It's going to let in more light and air. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, get a certified arborist in to help you.
And even the plants that love shade, they actually perform even a little bit better with more light to them, so you'll be surprised at the performance you'll get out of those plants as well. Talk to me about what's happening here. It looks like you're improving the curb appeal and the approach.
Yes, what happened was when I bought the house, there were some drainage issues because you've got this whole neighborhood draining basically across my front yard. So I had a plumber in, they put in a drain, and they took up the existing sidewalk. Well, for the past 3 years, I have been tracking in all this mulch and mud, and my dog tracks it in, and my friends track it in. So my family have decided to fix that and build me this nice deck and walkway.
That's great. That's great. You know, the water's still going to want to move downhill, so keep working on that drainage. You can do that with gravel, with French drains. Just make sure that you have the water moving away from the house and away from your walkway.
And then when it comes time to add the plants, you got to keep in mind that that soil is still probably going to be damp, and you still have the shade issue. So maybe hydrangeas and hostas might be a good solution. No? What?
No, because I have the worst deer problem ever.
So that explains the cage around your hydrangea.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I get it now. But let's keep moving because I know there's other things that we need to talk about. You know that deer issue? It's a universal problem, but we have a solution for that, and it's on our website under the show notes for this episode. The website address is the same as our name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. We've given Emily a lot to think about, haven't we?
We sure have.
So is this typical of your client situation?
She's got some typical questions, some typical issues, but every site is different.
And this site, two main things I see: the shade all around and the drainage. The drainage is a real issue, especially in the back.
Yeah, all that landscape fabric, creating a runoff issue all over the place, all these mosquitoes building up.
Right. It's a big plastic sheet and then the ivy that she's slowly beating back, but in the meantime, those pockets of water that are underneath that aren't allowed to evaporate. Big problem.
Yeah. Good for her though. She's chipping away at it, and I think if she takes some of our suggestions, maybe creates a dry stream bed, she's gonna be in great shape.
Yeah, so she's well on her way. A lot more to do. Gardener's work is never finished, right?
No, never. We're always working on it.
All right, I'm with you. So Robin, what is the difference between a garden designer and a garden coach?
So a designer's really going to be focused on looking at your space visually, probably doing some drawings for you, and a garden coach does that maybe and a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Every garden's got an opportunity for a teachable moment. These are
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. This is it.
Great.
So how does somebody go about finding a garden coach? What's the best way to do that?
A referral is fantastic. If you've got a friend that's working with somebody they really enjoy working with, it's a great way to go. Another way, web searches.
Yeah, thank God for technology. That makes a lot of sense. That is a great tree.
It's beautiful, just gorgeous.
Okay, so somebody is ready to hire that garden coach, but certainly there are credentials that are more appropriate than others. So what are we looking for if we're going to hire somebody like you?
Right. I think you want to look for somebody who's been in the industry for a while, somebody with some professional training in horticulture, somebody who's been vetted by a local organization, maybe a certified professional horticulturalist, master gardener.
Great
Fantastic way to
choices.
go.
Yeah. So when you're contacted by a prospective client for the first time, what sort of dialogue is taking place at that point?
It's a two-way interview. I'm asking them questions to understand if I can provide the services they need. They're checking me out to see the same thing and to see if they can get along with me.
Right. What about a survey or a questionnaire? Do you do that?
I do, absolutely. It's a good way for me to get them thinking about things they might not otherwise consider. It's also a good way for me to be best prepared for our first meeting.
And I would, if I hired a garden coach, probably the day before, get out there and clean everything up and maybe do some pruning. Is that a good thing or not?
No, please be honest with your garden coach. Leave it the way it is, because the point of having a garden coach come out is to learn how to do things right in the first place. You don't want to make a lot of costly mistakes before your coach gets there.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
New gardeners and young homeowners aren't the only ones who benefit from the expert advice of a garden coach. Sometimes it's that person who's maintained his or her own landscape and garden for years, like our next client, Chuck Renfro. He's lived in the same house for 18 years. When he bought this house, it was brand new, along with a landscape that came with it. Well, now, things have grown up and filled in quite a bit. In fact, in some cases, a little too well. Chuck loves his lawn and all the trees that surround his small neighborhood lot in Atlanta. But as things grow up, the resources required to keep them all going can become a bit too limited.
Well, you don't have to be a gardening expert to see that I've got a major problem with this lawn.
I don't mean to be laughing, Chuck, but I feel your pain because this is a classic problem of the guy trying to get the lawn to grow underneath the tree, and it rarely works.
Yeah.
Well, 18 years ago, this pin oak and this Bermuda got along just fine, but not anymore.
Because
Because you've got a big mature tree now, sucking up all the water and nutrients that the lawn wants. Lawns and trees, they don't really like the same environments, and now that you've got a mature tree, the lawn is losing the battle. You know, you could keep fighting it, but
it's not worth it. Plus, the lawn wants a lot more sun than it's getting. So rather than do that, it looks like you've already started to make some improvements, whether you realized, what you were doing or not. Let's talk about this bed. Chuck, when did you do this?
Well, as the lawn continued to deteriorate, I just expanded the bed out another 4 or 5 feet, and I've planted a lot of shade tolerant, perennials out here.
Yeah, look how
Looks
much
great.
better this is compared to the soil. I mean, this is nutrient rich, and
yeah.
you need more of that, Chuck.
Yeah, great plant choices though. You've got some nice variegation going on under here. The lightness of that white brightens up this area, this dark area, and gives you some great curb appeal. Good choices, kudos.
Thank you.
So what do you think you need to do based on just the few things we've said?
Well, I know I need to amend and aerate that soil and probably expand these beds.
Definitely
good
expand the beds.
Yeah,
This is where it's working, not the lawn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And keep up the mulching, good job.
Great. So back here, same issues. Large trees, not a whole lot of light.
Yeah. Beautiful entertaining space. Hey, do I see some peppers over there?
Yeah, I tried to do a little vegetable garden in this area.
That's great.
And, tried to expand the beds out, and we put a big patio area in it
Yeah.
to try to take up some
That's
of the
great.
area.
Put those peppers on the grill, you're good
Oh,
to
yeah.
go.
Yeah, they're
good job.
great.
So tell me about some of the challenges back here with the shade.
I like to experiment with different types of plants, and like these knockout roses, I don't think they're happy in this shady area at all. Used
Yeah.
to be sunny, but everything's kind of grown down.
Yeah,
towards this
beautiful
area
canopy.
now.
Beautiful Japanese maples, but you're right. These roses would do better in some more sun. I think get those transplanted, move them into some sun, maybe put some ferns in here. Some of those autumn ferns would be fantastic back here. Really take advantage of the shade that you now have with shade-loving plants. I think that'd be a good place to go.
This hill's been a lot of fun. I've tried to grow daylilies here. They don't like the shade either, so I'm growing rocks in here now.
Right. So maybe move those with the roses, mix them
Yeah.
up in the bed. That'd be fantastic. Again, play off the shade that you've got going on. That would be lovely.
Okay, so while Chuck and Robin are in the back checking out that side of the property, we talked about expanding this bed, and I have a great idea for Chuck, and I think he's going to be pretty happy about this. Now, he's got a lot of great plants started here already, and since we need to expand the bed and add more plants, there's no need to go to the nursery to buy them because we can divide all of these. For example, he has Pachysandra here. This is a nice shade-loving ground cover. He has some Lysomachia back here with good chartreuse color on the foliage. And then this. Now this is liriope or monkey grass, whatever you want to call it. This is really an indestructible ground cover, especially good for shade. Now all you need to do to divide it is dig it around the perimeter. And then get the clump out. And then what you can do to pull this apart or cut it apart, that doesn't really matter. You just want to create new divisions. We'll go ahead and cut some of this. It's a pretty tough root ball. So get a tool with a nice blade on it or a sharp spade and just cut through there. And now you can see you have smaller divisions and you can pull those apart. And again, it's hard to hurt this. And just plant these out throughout the bed. Next thing you know, you have a lot more plants and you didn't spend a penny to do it. When it comes to gardening, no matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. So it's nice to know that we have garden coaches that we can turn to for answers to some of those difficult questions or challenging projects. And if you'd like to learn more about garden coaching or anything else you saw here today, we have that information on our website under the show notes for this episode. And the address is the same as our name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. I'm Joe Lample. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World.